We're here at Dances with Films, New York. Its second version, while they've had 26 in LA, an enormously successful festival. And here are the two of the main founders of Dances with Films, or are the only two founders?
Only two.
There's only,
Only two. I'm
Leslee.
I'm Leslee.
Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, we tend to talk over each other. We've known each other a very long time.
We do Dog and Pony. We've done this for 26 years.
As long as you don't do step and repeat. I hate that one. Well, okay. So how was New York this year?
I mean, fantastic. Beyond our dreams again. We were shocked last year at the very warm reception we got from the New York, film goers, and doubly shocked this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were here last year, and it was our first foray into New York. Because I came from New York many, many years ago, and I love New York. I mean, New York is really, I've always felt like it was kind of home, for me personally. And Leslie and I had talked about this for a number of years to make Dance with Films essentially bi-coastal. And so we came out here last year and not really sure what we were going to find. Most important, we wanted to see if we could kind of recreate the vibe that we have in Los Angeles.
By connecting to the community of New York.
Right, by connecting, exactly that. Because one of the things that I think that has been the best thing for Dance with Films is the fact that there's been this community. I wouldn't say that we built it necessarily, but I think that we've discovered that there is community in Los Angeles among artists that support each other, and we wanted to see if we could actually recreate that in New York, and I think that we did. And so last year was great, and then this year was crazy.
Well, we could say doubly great, but we must say triply great, because we went from one screen to three screens.
Three screens.
Tripling.
And constant sold out houses. Our first sold out house we actually had was sold out in 6 minutes.
Yes.
Which was pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then added a screening and sold out again. So, we're very excited. I mean, there's so much talent, all around the country, all around the world anymore. The fact is that we're excited to be able to give those voices a platform and be able to make it so that filmmakers can know that their vision can be seen, even if they don't have that marquee talent name, to get it into the big theaters and on 1,700 screens across the country. But instead, to at least have a special place here where they can showcase what they're doing and they can make it to move on their career.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Dance with Films is, we started 26 years ago, and the whole point of Dances with Films is to recognize unknowns. So you don't have to have names and whatnot in your films. We're looking for filmmakers. The most important part of Dance with Films is the work itself, or the films itself. So it doesn't matter who you have in it, as long as you can bring an amazing and unique voice. And also a supportive, because you also have to be a good human being, because we really appreciate...
There's too much work putting it all together, that if you don't have good people who are understanding what we're doing with our group, you're not for us, and we're not for you,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's lots of great places to be seen, but there's so much our spot.
No, it's true. Because there's so much competition. There's competition in the marketplace. Any kind of competition that you would have as a filmmaker has nothing to do with your fellow filmmaker. It has solely to do with the marketplace. And so one of the things that's been great about Dance with Films is that people have come, they've met each other, they've actually collaborated, put other projects together. Over the years, there's been so many films that kind of started in many ways at Dance with Films. There's been marriages that, and people met at Dance with Films.
I don't think there's any competition with your concept. It's one of the most indie concepts there is. And I'd like to know how you came up with that high concept. You weren't high at the time, were you?
We were not high at the time. I'm not a high person.
Well, that's not in that.
Not in that sense. Because when Dance with Films started, there wasn't a film festival on every corner like there is now. I mean, there's more than 300 film festivals in Los Angeles alone. And so that's kind of crazy. Back in the day when we started, before the millennials.
Well, people were still shooting on film versus digital. So
That's still shooting. They were shooting on film.
Yeah, okay.
There was no such thing as
Digital.
when we began. So anyway, so
it was a whole different environment. We've really leapfrogged through all those different environments to survive as a festival. But back then, part of it, what it was we had done a film. We didn't get into the film festivals that we wanted to get into, which
there were the major 6, major 5.
it was the industry ones. We wanted to be where the industry was because we were doing this to do something to further our careers as actors, writers, directors, producers. And so that we didn't get into those. So we needed to do a screening. We were going to do a screening in Los Angeles, which was where we were based at that time. And he came up with this crazy blankety blank idea. And I went, no way. We're just going to do a screening. But instead, we turned around and did a 7-day festival at the Leslee's in Santa Monica. And we gathered together filmmakers who were just like us, who had great films, but they weren't getting into festivals that they wanted to be able to show off what they can do as a craft.
Right. And we realized how politicized film festivals were. Film festivals would invite films as opposed to selecting from, just submissions. There are numerous things that film festivals used to do and still do that we don't do. We're very transparent in terms of how we program, in terms of our selection process. There are film festivals that will take X amount of dollars if they'll screen their film. We've never done. People have offered us numerous times, I'll give you X thousands of dollars to screen, and we'll never do that. It's just it's not a part of us because there's just too many great.
We also don't choose our friends or alumni just simply because they're friends or alumni.
Yeah.
We choose it because it's good film.
But also one of the reasons why the festival has succeeded over all these years is because we have an amazing crew that have been with, many of them have been with us for
15 years.
Yeah.
We still have volunteers from year one who come back and volunteer at the LA Fest.
And we have sponsors that have been here.
It speaks to your quality. It's like Clint Eastwood always shoots with the same crew. So
that is correct. Yes. Yeah. So it really has been blessed, really, in its own way, that it has been its own growing, breathing organism that is going to survive way past when Michael and I may not be involved anymore. I hope that we will, but I don't want to be 80 years old coming out going, "Now everybody, now come to dances with Phil."
I think we're almost there. But yes.
Doing murder stunts, throw out candy bars.
But we have a great big member that is coming up with us, and so we're very excited about what the film industry, in terms of all of our different divisions, which includes narrative features and shorts and documentaries and short documentaries and pilots, a Kids Fest. Music videos, dance films. We really encompass it all. A lot of times,
all the midnights,
But they're films, right? You don't call stuff content, can you?
No.
No.
Content so much.
Content is really kind of a thing for technical.
Yeah.
That's
content for streamers.
Yes.
A lot of times we're always asking us, what are you looking for? Well, we look for what is interesting for as many minutes as it is on the screen. Your television, or the phone, or your whatever it's going to be in 2 months.
Does anyone know what they're looking for? Seriously, whenever people say, "What are you looking for?" Do you know what you're looking for? You know when you know. That's what you have. That's when you find.
So that's another meaning to nobody knows anything, really.
Well spoken.
Yes. So it's just, we're very excited to be able to present a lot of very creative people and to give them a place to show their work in a quality spot where they can do what they need to do to keep on going and also get to know an amazing community beyond it. We've gotten so many compliments this week from the filmmakers themselves. I was so glad to be able to meet, the filmmakers that are in my blog, the filmmakers that are within this entire series. And that is what makes us have a heartbeat.
Well, it's true because, and I know that a lot of people throw the word family out there, but we have constantly looked at, as our community, as a family. and we have forever. But so
let's face it, our actual families, but still, my mom and dad, they still never figured out what a producer does. So what do you do? I don't understand. I don't understand.
It's producers.
Yeah.
So, it's really it's been such a great journey for us to see it grow into something like this and then to expand in New York. And trust me, we have other ideas and new places we're going to expand because world domination is my new word.
Yeah, London is our next stop.
Well, you get a lot of submissions, though, right? And you would love to take them, but you have to not take them all, right? Because they must have gone up into the hundreds or thousands.
Yeah, we get many thousand entries every year.
But we watch it. Yeah, I mean, we watch out.
And how many select? 150, maybe?
For the LA festival, it's approaching 300.
Okay.
For this festival, we had 135, which is 3 times more than what we had last year. So we're just constantly building us. But in terms of submissions and the numbers, we actually look at absolutely everything. Once a film gets into our festival, it has been seen numerous times by numerous people, and the filmmakers have actually been spoken to. That we actually communicate directly with filmmakers. We don't do it through platforms. We literally contact others. All the people that unfortunately don't get into the festival, we want them to still be a part of the community. We want them to come and enjoy and see something that was selected for the festival, and to encourage them and for them to know that people are watching your...
In fact, I have a very short story. One of the short filmmakers who was selected for this year had actually submitted 1 year prior, and we did pass on it, but our critique, and then he reached out and wanted to know the real full critique. We gave it to him. He goes, this gave me food for thought, and he took it and he recrafted it and resubmitted it, and it got in. And he said, thank you, you helped me grow. You helped me grow as a filmmaker, to simply try to put out my voice. And I think that was a very important thing for those.
Yeah.
And that's been from the very beginning.
So what do you think, is the biggest problem nowadays, or biggest couple problems for indie filmmakers?
I think if you aren't clear cut on what your goals are and what your audience and who your audience is, you're going to have a hard time stumbling through and trying to figure out what you're doing. Because you really need to have an idea of marketing. You have to figure out how to show a distributor or an agent that you have a brand that you can bring together. Think about Josh Whelan. Think about even... where's another good that's a brand?
Asking me names, I can never remember names, which is why we have a festival without no names.
I don't know, Morgan Spurlock.
Yes.
But if there is one thing that is, I think it's difficult for indie filmmakers, is that they don't oftentimes realize that after they've created the work, they're only halfway there. Because there's so much noise to get that, their project to their audience. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy. And so it is even more of a collaborative effort to get your film out there. It's going into film festivals. It's reaching out to, your demographic. Who are you looking for? Who do you envision, seeing your film, enjoying your film, absorbing your film? Who are those people? Don't sit on the sidelines, because your film is never going to get seen. It's never going to get by. It's never going to go anywhere if you don't actually believe in it. And we want, and that is one of the things that Dance with Films, we have an amazing rate every season. I can't even call it every year, because now we're in different seasons with the festival. But every season we find amazing people that actually get it. And the thing that you need to get is that is that the work isn't done after the editing, after the final thing is said. You've got to get out there and
push your project. And again, and be clear cut on what your goal is. Some people need to go repay their investors, or their crowd racers, or crowdfunders, or whatever it may be. But other people, may not have to do that. Your goal might be something different. So, be clear cut on what you need to have done and what you need to do with your crew or your talent, to make it be worthwhile and not get burned out, because it's so easy in this industry to get burned out.
Because, if you're a filmmaker listening to this, you know how much work it actually takes just to finish something. So you need to keep believing. Don't give up there. I mean, because even if people aren't responding in such a way, you've got to find your audience.
So, how do you think the resolution of the two strikes, like I think there's probably more battles to come, have impacted Henry Trevor?
I think these are always going to be indies. It depends on what level. Are they doing it with union talent? Because that's going to be a whole different world than if they're doing it with non-union talent. Non-union talent doesn't have to worry about a whole lot of that stuff. And God knows we've seen some amazing films come out of non-union talent. So, it's just going to be a new balancing act, that's all. Back in the day when we did our film in 1996 called The Deputy, which is what started this whole thing, SAG didn't have ultra-low budget agreements. They didn't have this. So I think you're going to see what the unions are going to understand that people need to create and people need to practice.
Yeah.
They need to have some time to build their craft. You don't just step out and get $10 million handed to you to be able to produce some big film. You actually have to know what you're doing. And you can't do that off of, I'm going to do a film. Or I did my one film in school.
And do not have fear of failure.
I failed off.
Do not have fear of failure.
And with that, I think you have a theater you have to load in.
I got one last thing on that subject, and then Robin had a quick question. You produced your original film yourself, right?
Yes.
I am under the feeling that almost all indie directors, actors, filmmakers have to be producers also. That we should probably expand the auteur theory, and they say that the AMPT, the P doesn't represent the real producer. I can agree with that.
I think that every organization has some that should be there and some that shouldn't be there in every division. So I don't know if I'd go so much as producers needs to be
Well, it's not just a thing there. The producers are going to be hurting if they have to match all the things and they didn't get anything out of it other than the same situation and worse. And, and more indies have realized they will have to be producers. So I think that there's going to be some more agitation. In fact, I'm going to force it myself as much as possible. And you guys are the people who will understand what I'm trying to do, I believe.
I just want to champion the underdog. So that's all.
When I saw Dances with Blood, it was almost 4 hours. It's so fast. When the credits came up, I'm like, whoa, it's over already?
Right.
How did that relate to your type? How did that?
Oh, okay. So, oddly enough, Dances with Films has nothing to do, and it was never actually inspired by Dances with Films. Strangely enough, the reason why we had Dances with Films is because at the time, this was back in 1997, when the report was thought of. It had more to do with the fact that at Sundance there were so many different film festivals that had populated Park City. I mean, there were so many.
Right.
Must have been 20.
So there was like Slam Dance, which is a great festival that's still going, but there was other ones too, like
Slam Dunk.
Slam Dunk.
Did you dance?
Dance.
Dances on Wheels. They had there were so many different and nothing against
Bagel Dance, I think.
There was a ton of them. And so we just thought, because we were only going to do it one time, we just thought it was funny.
It was funny. It was a funny
title.
And so, and initially ours was Dance with Films Festival of the Unknowns. That was the entire title. And then Ryan sent us a cease and desist because they owned Dances with Wolves, and they thought we shouldn't be able to use dances with anything, apparently.
Did they put their lawyers on that?
They sent us a cease and desist. And then it got into the papers, essentially, and they backed down. But we weren't sure if they were going to back down. And so on our posters that year, and our only year, it had Dances with Films Festival of the Unknowns. The reason is because had the lawyer showed up to shut us down, we were just going to spray paint out Dances with Films, and then at this point, we would have been called Festival of the Unknowns.
Yeah, we had black spray waiting outside just in case. Yeah, we were very worried, but it did get us our first little hit into the Hollywood Reporter with Dances with Films won't be Dances with Studios anytime soon. And 26 years later, that's still true.
That's still true.